Congratulations, Christine. We'll now move to the announcement of the 2016 RIBA President's Awards for Research and of the winner of the Research Medal. This year's President's Awards for Research judging panel was chaired by Peter Clegg, Senior Partner at Field & Clegg Bradley Studios, and included Amika Dahl, Director of Assemble, Hattie Hartman, Sustainability Editor at the Architects Journal, Professor Robert Mull, Head of School at the University of Brighton, Dr. Eileen Orbashley, Reader in Architectural Regeneration at Oxford Brookes University, and Professor Christopher Platt, Head of the Mackintosh School of Architecture at the Glasgow School of Art, and Founding Director of Studio Cap Architects. These judges selected a shortlist of 12 papers from 75 entries to read over the summer, and then met at the RIBA to select the winners in each of this year's 4 new categories. The categories are History and Theory, City and Community, Design and Technical, and the annual theme, Learning from Projects. Out of the category winners, they then decided which would be awarded the 2016 Research Medal. And this year, to give you a feel of the judging process and the diversity of the research submissions, we asked our judges to tell you about the work they encountered and have included their responses in this short film.
There was a tremendous range of projects in this year's RIBA Research Awards. And what really struck me is the amount of research and practice that goes on.
We were excited about the diversity of the topics and real search for knowledge in so many different aspects of architecture.
If you extrapolate the amount of time that you as one person spend engaging with it, it's an extraordinary amount of imaginative effort and time that's invested in considering them, which is impressive.
I mean, it's both fascinating and sort of daunting to find 75 research projects, and I think it was also good. There were people who had done master's dissertations, people who were just submitting chapters or early deliberations on work, and I think it's important that these are also encouraged and supported.
The quality of the work allowed us to have some quite challenging and profound conversations about the nature of research and the nature of research in relation to practice and academia.
Some of which are enormously influential in architectural practice, others which are influential in the development of the history and philosophy of architecture, which is obviously a slight distance from practice. But I think the interesting thing is the breadth of the projects that we've seen.
Just the sheer international dimension. I think what was interesting and surprising was the degree of projects which involved activism and community engagement.
Projects that had sort of multiple dimensions and engagement definitely stood out today. I think that was sort of overarching theme.
Researchers and groups of practitioners in very, very difficult circumstances sometimes, doing things which were very brave within the context. And that allowed one to really question one's own sort of ethical and political position in relation to what is good and what is bad in research terms. And I found that surprising and really powerful and very moving at times.
Many architects become architects in the first place for humanitarian reasons because they want to make cities better places. And through this very detailed kind of micro research, which has taken place in some of these, particularly in some of the refugee settlements, it definitely highlights, small moves that can improve the quality of day-to-day life.
Within architecture, if nothing else, we want to be useful and we want that insight to be able to be applied into some other context.
It's about showing how research informs what you're doing. You can do a lot of research, you can do a lot of architecture, but how do you combine the two?
The papers that were most exciting to read for me were ones where people in practice had tried to find ways, A, recognise that as a valuable thing that they have, and B, then tried to find a way to make that approachable, like recognise it as part of their work.
The really important thing is to be very clear about what your project is about and what question your project is about. What are you trying to reveal? What's the question that you're trying to answer?
I think the papers that were really strong had done that. They'd considered the research award as an independent output and had invested time and considered the audience as different to maybe the audience they'd normally be working for or working with, whether that's a client group or a different kind of academic output.
It's an interesting way of focusing your ideas and being very clear about the nature of research in practice.
So many things are dismissed as not being research because they're not recognisable in conventional terms. But within a context where there is generosity towards what they might do and achieve, have a go.
We've had some really lively discussions. We've got people who cross the boundaries between academia and practice. Those sorts of discussions are always really rewarding. The sharing of ideas is what it's all about.
Well, before awarding the category winners and research medal, judges awarded 2 commendations. To present them, together with the RIBA President, I'd now like to invite to the stage the Chair of the RIBA Research and Innovation Group, Professor Floral Samuel from the University of Reading. The first commendation for a research paper goes to the Palestine Regeneration Team. This is a complex and multi-dimensional project that employs a well-established design research initiative exploring how best to regenerate and heal fragmented places and communities on the Palestine-Israel borders. The research unites anthropology and urbanism, political and cultural studies. The project was undertaken by a collaborative team from Golzari NG Architects, the University of Westminster, and the Bartlett School of Architecture, UCL. Collecting the commendation on behalf of the team are Dr. Yara Sharif and Dr. Nasser Golzari. The second commendation goes to the project UK's first amphibious house, CanFloat Amphibious Building. This is another exemplar design research project that takes a hard look at the issues faced by communities prone to flooding, and not only proposes a solution, but actually builds one. The paper details the expert knowledge developed by the authors prior to construction, including an innovative way of meeting planning regulations by building underground in a flood risk area. It is a very useful piece of research that pushes the specific boundaries of amphibious design. The research was undertaken by Baker Architects, and the authors are Richard Coutts and Robert Barker. And now, on to the Research Award winners. Up first, the winner of the History and Theory category, entitled Asmara, Africa's Modernist City, UNESCO World Heritage nomination. Asmara in Eritrea is a capital city that represents a profoundly different attitude towards architectural heritage and its interpretation and treatment, compared to many other post-colonialist settings. It has an architectural character that exemplifies a period of intense development in the 1930s that coincided with the global proliferation of pre-war modernism. The historic urban landscape embodies in a whole city the unity of innovative urban planning and modernist architecture combined with local, natural and cultural conditions. In January 2016, Eritrea submitted its first ever application to UNESCO for inscription on the World Heritage List. The nominated site was the country's modernist capital, Asmara. The paper seeks to summarize nearly 2 decades of collaborative research by professionals from a wide range of disciplines in both Eritrea and overseas. The research was undertaken by the Asmara Heritage Project team and the Bartlett School of Architecture. Representing the project tonight is its principal investigator, Edward Dennison. The next winner for the Learning from Projects category is titled Make Public, Performing Public Housing in Erno Goldfinger's Balfron Tower. As a response to the plan of London Borough of Tower Hamlets to refurbish and privatise the Balfron Tower, the author describes his collaborative work with the tower's current and former residents in the preceding 3 years, during which they campaigned for Balfron to remain a beacon for social housing. Concisely presented, this original approach uses archival material in resident workshops to inform a live refurbishment of the tower block and a reproduction of Goldfinger's own form of post-occupancy evaluation originally undertaken in 1968. Based at the Bartlett School of Architecture, UCL, the author and winning of the Learning from Projects category is David Roberts. And the penultimate winner for the category City and Community is the author of a project titled The Common Camp, Temporary Settlements as a Spatio-Political Instrument in Israel-Palestine. The project makes a timely contribution to the field of study concerning temporary settlement camps throughout the history of Israel-Palestine, where camps are architectural entities inherently related to the movement of people in space. Through a detailed analysis of the rules of the camp, the author tells a story of mobility and restraint, of change and of the fear of change. She regards the camp as a shadow which constantly follows modern politics. From the University of Cambridge, the winner of the City and Community category is Dr. Irit Katz. Our final research award for the category Design and Technical is given to the collaborative project Super Tall Timber, Design Research for the Next Generation of Natural Structure. This design research project aspires to make truly tall timber buildings a reality. Through a combination of theoretical design, digital and physical testing, the authors demonstrate the viability of timber buildings at much greater heights than have previously been possible. The result is an ambitious proposal to build the structurally and environmentally sound Oakwood Tower in the City of London, a structure that at 300 metres tall would be designated super tall. The research is the result of a collaboration between the University of Cambridge, PLP Architecture, and Smith & Woolwork structural engineers. Representing the team tonight, the winners of the design and technical category are Dr. Michael Ramage, Dr. Rob Foster, Simon Smith, and Kevin Flanagan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Research Medal. This year, the category winners you've just congratulated, like you, do not know which of them has won the Research Medal. Following lengthy discussion, the judges decided to first award a high commendation to a project that any other year might well have won the medal itself. This project is a rigorous, imaginative, and well-considered piece of research that demonstrates a highly original use of disparate research methodologies and has the potential to be a model for similar engagements elsewhere. The author, whose enthusiasm is present throughout his work, is David Roberts from the Bartlett School of Architecture. And finally, we will award the Research Medal itself. The production of this research is itself an enormous achievement based on many years of material and data collection that has resulted in a tremendous body of work summarised in this submission. The project's evaluation is sensitive to its local context, and its findings have the potential to deliver a profoundly transformative effect on this location. Ladies and gentlemen, the RIBA President's Medal for Research goes to Asmara, Africa's modernist city, represented again by Edward Dennison.
Wow. I wasn't told I had to give a speech this evening, but it's not fair and it's not right that a white middle-aged man should be receiving this award. As has been mentioned, this research spans 2 decades and reflects a truly global effort by many exceptional people, most of whom are Eritreans. However, I'd like first to acknowledge one Chinese female, Guangyu Ren, whose research was instrumental in starting this process and whose commitment has sustained it ever since. There are too many people to thank, but in the audience, my father, John Dennison, though sadly my mother, Eleanor, can't be here tonight, the current British ambassador to Eritrea, Ian Richards, and the former Norwegian ambassador to Eritrea, Morten von Asland. Thank you all. But above all, my Eritrean colleagues, Medhani Teklemariam and Dawit Abraha, should be collecting this award on behalf of their outstanding team at the Asmara Heritage Project. Their journeys to Britain were thwarted by the dull weight of the British immigration system, an injustice that aptly mirrors the very motive for this research, to confront basic prejudices that challenge our claims to humanity. A common theme in so many of this year's outstanding shortlisted projects, whether fighting for public housing, natural resources, or oppressed peoples. I'm immensely grateful to the RIBA and to Dr. Kat Martindale for inviting my Eritrean colleagues to this ceremony and for recognising their extraordinary contribution to architectural knowledge through this outstanding research into their beloved capital, Asmara. I'm deeply honoured to receive this award on their behalf. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all our research category winners and to the 2016 RIBA Research Medalist team.